So, hello, boys and girls, cats and dogs. We are an inclusive channel here. Um, Today we have Curtis Rogers with us, who does some beautiful crochet work, some amazing photography, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. And he is also in South Carolina, but we can forgive him for that. So tell us about yourself, Curtis.
Well, thank you so much for having me. StreamYard is very new to me, so if I mess up, just let me know. But a little bit
It's easy
about
to
my.
edit.
Oh, okay, good, good. But a little bit about myself, just personally, I grew up in Connecticut, lived there till I was 12, moved to South Carolina, have been here ever since, and I've also been in the library and information science profession for almost, well, a little over 34 years. And in fact, I am retiring the end of this month. So June 30th, 2021, I am retiring.
Oh my goodness, I would not have suggested you were more than 34 years old yourself.
Well, I'm sorry, I am 36. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. When I turned 40, I told people I was hex 28.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, yeah, see, my problem is a lot of people think I dye my hair, but it's still actually that dark, which is kind of surprising.
Well, it's interesting because my beard is all gray, but my hair is still, what's left of it, is still pretty much ginger.
Mhm.
So when I keep the beard closely trimmed, which now that the masks are gone, I have to do again.
Right.
I mean, that was my biggest thing. When I saw people walking around without masks, I'm going, damn, I'm going to have to start trimming my beard again.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to you. Because I can talk about myself all day long, and often do. But let's talk about you. So you are retiring? Oh my goodness, I think
Yep.
that's exciting.
I'm
And your
retiring.
current position is head of
Communications at the South Carolina State Library in Columbia, South Carolina. But actually, my partner and I live in a little town called Hopkins, which is only about 25 minutes out of Columbia, and we're way out in the country.
mhm.
Lot of grass that has to get cut.
That's what neighbor teenage boys are for.
Well, we are so far out, we don't have neighbors. So
Oh, okay.
we have
That's
a
what
quarter.
lawn services are for.
That's right. We have a quarter-mile dirt road that you have to go down to get to our house. So
Oh,
even though we're
I
even
sense
though we're close to downtown, it's really out in the boonies.
I sense an Airbnb in your future then.
Yeah, maybe when someone else buys this
Or,
house. But
or maybe just a guest room with that says David on it. How's
yeah, there you
that?
go. That'll work. Come on down and visit. We've got a pool and everything.
Oh, I'll be right over.
All right.
Actually, yeah, because so that's quite a long uh, career in information services, and actually that fascinates me. I've done a bunch of different things in my life, but information and moving it around and working with it has always been fascinating to me.
It has been a very, very interesting career, and I have been really lucky because I'm the kind of type of person who really likes to learn all the time, and so I've always been constantly learning. And I was an adjunct professor after I finished my doctorate, and taught a couple of classes at the University of South Carolina Library School,
Hmm.
and one of the things I really enjoy is online training. In fact, in my retirement, I've already set up my website. I've got my LLC. I've already got a couple of gigs lined up with a library network in Florida to do some online training for them. So I'm looking forward
Oh,
to keeping my hands in things.
so is that something specific to people who are in library science, or is that something that the general public would be interested in?
It would be something specifically for libraries, so I'd be training librarians.
Okay. So how would you translate that to people like me outside of library science, but fascinated with information and the way it moves around on
That's
perhaps a retail level.
yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about it that far because a lot of what I plan on doing is it's all kind of train the trainer. So basically, it's being able to teach and train library staff members how to do certain things within the PR, marketing, communications of libraries, so that they can then do what they have to do.
That's another field that I love. When I was first in New York, I wound up by accident, because I was an office temp. I wound up working for like 5 years for a company that did PR and advertising for specifically for mutual funds and within
Mm,
the mutual fund industry. And I learned so much there about PR and also
mhm,
about the financial world.
mhm.
So I mean that sort of thing, the PR thing and the information science thing and all of it just fascinates me. But let's talk about yarn.
Okay.
No, you do some beautiful stuff. I first met you through Instagram because you have some really amazing photographs,
Thank you.
of, well, you have really, really great photographs, nature photographs, but
Mhm.
you also, it looks like you have some really good photographs of your crochet work. I wish I had good photographs. I do good work and take crappy photos, really.
Well, there is an art to that too, so
Yeah, so I that's something I need to learn more about, but maybe I'll get you on my staff.
there you go. So, just I'll tell you a little bit about how I got started in crocheting. I have to blame Drew Emborski because he is the crochet
Oh,
dude. I don't
crochet
know if
too,
yeah.
yes.
So I was actually this has been when was it? 11 years ago. So I guess
Hmm.
in 2010, I was kind of looking for a new hobby, and I was in I think I was in Michael's hobby store, and started looking around. I was looking at the painting stuff, and I was like, no, I've tried that. I was just looking at everything, and came across the yarn aisle, and it was really serendipitous in that I looked over and there was a little beginner's kit, and it was called the Crochet Dude, and I was like, well, if that's, meant to be, I've never thought, but if there's a guy out there, hawking his wares doing crochet, then I need to give it a try. What's that you grabbed? There you go, bearded yarn dudes.
Bearded yarn dudes. This is my ex and me. We're still friends. We're not. He has basically allowed me to just take the name and run with it, but we're still friends. He's a lovely guy. Um, anyway, that's the whole yarn dude thing. But I have found that more and more men are getting into yarn, and I think
hmm
it's wonderful.
And I think
And
social media has really facilitated that too, because you're
yeah,
starting to see a lot more online groups.
exactly,
hmm
exactly. And I have some of the other guys that I have interviewed for this series, um, have used um, knitting, crochet, whatever yarn work that they do. They use it in a therapeutic way.
hmm hmm
Um, and one fellow whose name is his channel is called Combat Crochet. I don't know if you've seen him,
Hmm.
but he is a combat veteran,
Okay.
and I'm getting misty now.
Mm.
But he has, um,
Has it helped him with his being
yeah,
able to deal with
yeah,
his
exactly.
past and
With the PTSD issues that,
mhm, mhm,
and so he has found it healing for himself,
mhm,
and
mhm,
also he has found it healing to be able to spread the word, the evangel
mhm,
of crochet, and he has helped other veterans whom he
mm.
calls his brothers,
That's
to
wonderful.
deal with their own issues too.
Mhm. That's great, and, I have seen a lot of stories about, in prison groups where, people are learning to, fiber arts, knitting and crocheting. And
Mhm.
yeah, there is a definite therapeutic aspect to it. And I'm the kind of person that I kind of like to have something in my hands working on that, as I'm watching TV. And so I think it helps with the ADD, so that you can concentrate, because a lot of people, I remember early on in my career being told not to doodle on my pad with my pen during a meeting because it was distracting others. And I thought to myself, how can that distract others? That helps me concentrate. And
Mhm.
so later on, I think as, you know, people started understanding how different learning styles there are, that someone just doodling on a piece of paper during a meeting actually helps them concentrate. And so I'm
Exactly.
that kind of person.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to sit in the most boring business meetings. I would write letters to my best friend while I was sitting there in the meeting
Hmm.
because that helped me, because
Hmm.
otherwise I would be falling asleep.
Yep, yep, definitely. But
Um,
anyway, back to Crochet Dude. So I was in Michael's and I picked up that little kit. It probably
mhm.
had 4 crochet hooks, just of your basic sizes, and it had the tiny little tape measure and just a few other things in there. So I bought that, and I bought a couple of skeins of yarn, that I'm sure was acrylic or something, and just gave it a try, and it ended up catching. And I also got into using a knitting board. So I went to, I think it was knittingboard.com, and probably is still there. Bought myself a little knitting board and started playing with that, making scarves, just
Mhm.
doing very basic things. And then it's kind of you know, blossomed into doing crazy things like buying a brother knitting machine on eBay and actually taking it all apart, cleaning it, reassembling it, getting it to work. And I've also had a circular knitting machine.
Did now
Um,
now with that brother knitting machine, did you like document the process? That sounds
I
like
did.
really
It's
fascinating.
actually on my website, noneedleknitting.com. And
Where I have visited, and I think it's
yep.
fascinating.
And
And in
thank you.
fact, I think you have your grandmother's cornbread recipe
Yes.
that was very much like my mother's, because my mother grew up in southeastern North Carolina,
Okay.
the oldest of 5 children on a tobacco farm in the Depression.
Hmm.
So she knows a little bit about, or knew a little bit about cooking. She's no longer
Uh-huh.
with us, but that that really resonated with me. In
Yeah, I
addition
do.
to the beautiful photography, yes.
Well, thank you. I do put a few other things on that website because mostly for the fact that that's where I know where to find them later. But
Yes, I try to find, yeah,
if someone else likes the recipe, then that's great too.
yeah, exactly, exactly. In
So
fact, I might
what?
try it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say one of the other things I've gotten into is weaving as well. I do have a loom. I'm trying to remember what's the name of the New Zealand company that is does all the weaving. Is it Ashford?
I'm not sure.
I think that's what it is. So I've got a loom, and I have attempted weaving, and it's enjoyable. I like that too, but I still always fall back to crochet. I've tried knitting. I
Hmm.
just could not get into it.
Knitting is a mystery to me, and that's okay because
Hmm.
there's still enough to do with crochet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, I will have links to your website and other social media presence in the description when we post this. So, because I want to bring people to you and to see everything that you do that is wonderful.
Great.
Um, so, tell me more. So you're retiring from the library system in
Hmm.
at the end of this month. Wow,
Yep.
June 30th is
Yep.
right
It's right
around the
around
corner.
exactly.
So what comes next?
Just the consulting. Gonna try my hand at that, and I've just joined a gym, and so I've got to get off some of this COVID weight.
Oh,
All the bread baking can take a toll.
well, that I do understand, but believe me, I've I have fluctuated all my life, so I
Oh
don't even
yeah,
worry anymore.
yeah. No, I'm not worried about it either. In fact, this morning I went to an aqua Zumba class, which was really great, and
Oh my
really,
goodness.
really loved doing that. And then I did a 30-minute bike ride around University of South Carolina campus. But then, of course, I canceled it out because I went and bought bagels and egg salad.
I'm with you for the bagels, not so much for the egg salad, but that's a personal thing.
Mhm.
Egg salad and green peas, both I think are the work of the devil. But I love bagels, and I miss New York bagels actually.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that is something. We actually have a really great place called the Carolina Cafe right
Hmm.
downtown Columbia, and the woman who makes the bagels every morning is from New York, so they are really good bagels.
I'll bet they are.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly I have not spent much time. I've only driven through Columbia. I don't think I've ever stopped in Columbia.
Hmm.
So yeah, you got that sign on that guest room door? I'll be
That's right.
over.
Yeah, come on
Yeah,
down.
especially for the bagels.
Yep.
And you can come over here for the seafood. And if you want to go to the beach, that's fine too. Yeah, but that's
Oh,
that's. Go
I
ahead.
I did bring. I did have a few of my things that I wanted to show.
Oh yes,
Um,
I was going to ask you.
yeah, this is an example of some of the weaving that I've done, which turned out really nice.
I like that.
And this is in alpaca, and
Oh my gosh.
it's just a nice
I mean, just
scarf.
when you mentioned the wool, I'm going dollar signs, dollar signs, dollar signs,
Right.
because alpaca is not cheap, but I'll bet that feels so soft,
It
doesn't
is.
it?
It's wonderful. And then I kind of like doing really wide scarves.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
This is just a scarf, and this is an acrylic I got from Michaels that was really nice. And this
I
is a
love
mini.
a good soft touch acrylic, and there are
Mhm.
some really good store brands out there.
And this is just a mini bean stitch. I don't know if you can see that well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
like doing a lot of different kinds of stitches. And I've got this is a lap robe, basically. It's kind of hard to see all of it because it's kind of big. Um,
So is it like a zigzag kind
yep,
of thing, and then you put the edging on?
yep.
Okay, that looks like fun. Did you do it with a self-striping yarn, or did you color control manually?
I actually, this is three different, you can see it's got where the break is, there's different shades
Mm-hmm.
of yarn. It goes from light to dark. Um, but yeah, so, and this is actually like alpaca and mohair, so it's really, really crazy soft. And
Mm-hmm.
then one other item I've got to show you. This past winter, I made myself a sweater, and
I
this turned
love
out
the texture.
it turned out really nice. It's called the Macchiato Sweater, and I've
Was
got
that your own pattern, or was it somebody
no.
else's?
It's something that somebody else has, but it's a top down yoke that
Mm-hmm.
is really, really nice because it ends up being basically seamless. Um,
I've done some things like that before, and I would love to do a sweater like that.
well, this one worked out really well, and I'm not really a pattern person because I'd much rather just do something free form or just figure out a pattern on my own if it's basic. But that one I really needed the pattern for.
So then that brings us to the next question: do you write your own patterns for other people to use?
No, and I want to say that I'm so bad at writing patterns. I've tried before, and I just don't pay that close attention to detail to be able to get every single nook and cranny. But right now I'm working on a poncho pattern, and it's just basically 2 panels and
Mm-hmm.
with a seam and then open space for the head and then seam
Mm-hmm.
down the back. So stuff
Yeah.
like that, I just kind of get out the tape measure and just use.
So, well, if you ever do want to start writing patterns, we could work together offline because I got started with that just by taking my own notes from tutorials online
Mm-hmm.
from some very, very popular crochet people on YouTube.
Mm,
Um, and I have been able to reproduce their garments. And then I learned a lot. And I have advised other people who say, oh, I can't read a pattern. I say,
mm-hmm.
okay, look at a tutorial, make your own notes,
Mm-hmm.
then find the written pattern for that tutorial,
Yep.
compare your notes to the written pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll make that connection there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to be I tend to find patterns just so tedious. And I understand, using a pattern, you have to count all the chains and stitches and how many double crochets. And, I can do all that. I just don't, it just isn't that enjoyable for me.
Well, actually, there are some pattern writers who are more about measurements in terms of inches or centimeters
Mm-hmm.
rather than counting chains. And I try to lean in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, sometimes you just have to, you got to do what you got to do.
Yes,
Anyway.
exactly. Exactly.
So then let's talk about this wonderful Instagram site that you have and this wonderful blog that you have online. How long have you had that?
Gosh, the blog, noneedleknitting.com, I think I may have started that shortly after I started learning how to crochet so that I could, again, I did it as something so that I could keep up with my progress. And I think maybe one of the very first posts I have is, this is my first attempt, and um,
Mm-hmm.
posted a picture of it. But so I've probably had that about 10 years or so. And Instagram, I actually just recently got into. So it's probably not even been 2 years that I've had my Instagram account. But I do enjoy that because I think of that more for photography. Um,
Mm-hmm.
than anything. I tend to segment, it's like I have the blog that's mostly crochet, arts and crafts, and then Instagram, mostly photography. I also have other hobbies like coin collecting, and sometimes I will post, like if I get a really neat new coin, I'll post that on there because taking a photograph of a coin is actually quite difficult. A lot of people
Mm.
don't realize, if you don't have a good macro lens or something to be able to get it, you have to edit and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I will not I cannot call that a strength of mine. But it really attracts me to people who know what they're doing visually.
Hmm.
Because your photography is really stunning. And I have seen some of your coin photography as well. And of course, the crochet work that you have shown photos of as well.
Thank you.
Do you have any other social media channels?
I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Um, but other than that, I don't tweet. I've never tweeted, so I kind of miss out on that. But you can
Well,
only have
yeah.
so many.
As I heard a comedian say, I have twatted before, but I don't really need to continue.
Right.
But yeah, um, there's only so much that you can do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but that's great. So as far as you've talked about the consulting with the library science, but what directions would you like to see? Um, as far as the crafting, the crochet, the photography, even the
Hmm.
cooking, the weaving, all of that stuff?
Well, actually, one of the ways that I'm incorporating photography into my future consulting is one of the classes that I teach for librarians is basic photography skills for PR and marketing. So, that class goes into all of the different terminologies that are used in photography, and learning about the real basic things like how to operate a DSLR camera, knowing what pixels are, knowing how they compose the image, knowing a little bit about f-stop, and the
I would like to
aperture.
take that class myself,
Oh, well,
actually.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so if it's
there's
available to outsiders, let me
okay.
know.
There's a lot that goes into photography that a lot of people don't think about, because everybody thinks they have a great camera already, just on their phone. And a lot of phones really can produce a lot of great image, but a lot of that image production takes place editing afterwards. An iPhone has its own editing capabilities, and there are
Hmm.
simple tricks. Like, a lot of people don't realize that that lens needs cleaning. You need to wipe it off, and so there's lots of little tips and tricks that
I think
people
that
don't
would
think
be
about.
that would be valuable as a separate course to teach
Hmm.
to lay people about photography using your smartphone,
Oh yeah, in fact,
because
I was going to
go
say, in
ahead.
fact, there's an iPhone photography club Facebook group, and a lot of people, and I'm in that group. A lot of people will post their images, and it's just amazing the kind of images that people are taking with their smartphones. And
Hmm.
a lot of it has to do with the different apps there are out there to use for editing your images. Like, there's Snapseed, there's Camera Plus, there's Pixlr, all of these different things that you can
Hmm.
open your
Yeah.
image up in those apps after you've taken that image, and then add different things to it, create layers, do all kinds of stuff.
That I think I would love that. I have always wished that I had that kind of an eye. My ex had that eye. Um, I'm the one who I can recognize when you edit a photo and it's better afterwards.
Hmm.
I beforehand I'm not going to say, okay, you this is what needs to be done, because I
Hmm.
won't recognize that. I don't have that level of skill. And my
Hmm.
ex, we're talking about me again because that's what I do. It's funny because he also went to culinary school, and he has that level with his tongue that I don't understand. But because I went to music school and I have that kind of subtlety with my ear that he didn't understand. So
Okay.
it's it's a trade off. It's a trade off, and so I wish that I had that kind of thing. I'm even now I can recognize that your image looks a whole lot better than mine. It's a lot more clear and a lot more orderly too. But then I'm in a small place with a lot of stuff. But that's that. But um, I wish I had that kind of knowledge. And so you're talking about being able to share that kind of knowledge, and sharing knowledge, I think, is so valuable.
Hmm. Yep.
Which,
In
of
fact,
course, is what you've always done as a librarian, right?
right, right, yeah. But even though there are, I'm not, I consider myself a pretty good crocheter. Um, Certainly not anything, above average, or anything very sophisticated. But I had gotten into Tunisian crochet a while back,
I'm
and
so sorry. Tunisian is okay. I make jokes about it, but Tunisian
it
is
is,
okay.
and there, and I really tried my best, and finally got a rhythm where I was actually making some good really nice things. In fact, I have made myself a couple of sweaters in Tunisian crochet, but
I
that's a
think you
lot of
posted a picture of a cardigan.
Yep, and that's a lot more panel work, which I'd rather do the top down with the yoke like I did on this
Mm-hmm.
Macchiato sweater I showed you. But luckily, I have a crafter sister who has 2 or 3 Bernina sewing machines, and she is great at quilting. And so she, if I need something with a zipper put in, she's all about being able to do that. So that's cool. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, I got into Tunisian crochet, and I was at the Pearls Yarn Emporium retreat up in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And Pearls Yarn Emporium is a great yarn shop in Asheville, so I would encourage folks to check that out.
I need to
Um,
look at that myself. Please send me
yeah,
the
it's
link.
in fact they are just reopening after they lost their storefront during COVID, and it's a husband and wife team, and they were working from home. They moved all of their inventory to their house and actually opened up an online store. But now, as of I think June 16th, they're opening another storefront. So
Oh,
that'll be
great.
exciting to
That's wonderful.
yeah, but anyway, I was at one of their spring yarn retreats and ended up spontaneously teaching a Tunisian crochet session because a lot of people, you hear about it, but if you're a knitter and you kind of have only crocheted once or twice, Tunisian crochet sounds really exotic. So, a lot of people want to see just what it is, because you are casting on and casting off. So there's that little bit of knit knowledge.
I will freely admit that the reason I find it so frustrating is because I can't do it all that well.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
but speaking of retreats, I've seen some photos that you have posted of retreats in the past. Are you going to the men's fiber retreat in September at Easton Mountain?
No, I don't have plans to go to that. I think that, yeah. Are
Oh,
you going?
I I I have reserved my space and paid for it, and I
Okay,
hope
cool.
I can still afford to do it when September rolls around.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
have been there before. It's a wonderful,
I
wonderful
love
retreat.
Easton Mountain. Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
I used to go to an annual Gay Men's Labor Day retreat there.
Hmm.
That was I used to call it therapy camp
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's exactly what it was,
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
yeah.
And the
But
community. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we do have the Southeast Men's Knitting Retreat, so you can definitely come to that.
When is that and where?
That is November. I think it's around November 11th, and that'll be in Black Mountain at the what's
Oh,
that place
send me a link
called?
to that as well.
I will. Yeah, all of the men's knitting retreats are listed at mensknittingretreat.com. And so,
I
yep,
I do frequent them, and I follow them on Facebook, and that's
yep,
how I knew about the Eastern Mountain retreat.
yep, yep.
I wish you were going because actually I want someone to drive up with. Um,
Well, I think I saw registration already closed, and I think
the registration has closed.
yep, they have a waiting list, and I think that they have a few scholarships that they're offering.
I
Um,
nominated someone for a scholarship. I also nominated myself for a scholarship.
okay, cool, cool.
But I nominated. Do you know Fiber Spider, Craig?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
You do not know Fiber Spider?
Fiber Spider. No,
Oh
I
my
don't think I
God, what
do.
is wrong with you? You need to look him up. Anyway, is much beloved in the crochet community. So, and has had a YouTube channel for quite some time. So I nominated him for a scholarship, and I hope that he's able to go.
Cool.
Um, and he's also just a wonderful guy. On top of that,
Hmm.
so many people in the yarn community are just wonderful people.
And I notice a lot of people, like when we have the guys who are new to the Southeast Men's Knitting Retreat, I think I started going at the second one. So that's been about
Hmm.
10, maybe I think we're on our ninth or 10th annual. But when new guys come and they, are looking around and they're feeling comfortable doing what they're doing, a lot of people use the phrase, "I found my tribe." because it's a group of people who are so like-minded, and not only in the fiber arts, but also just kind of in everything else, and
Exactly.
mhm,
And I don't know what it is, because fiber people just tend to be very kind people anyway.
mhm, mhm. Yep.
And there's probably a dissertation in that.
Oh, I'm sure. Definitely.
But it's true, and that has uh, I'm I'm sure that everyone has made the same observation that
Mhm,
we
mhm,
have, that the and people will say the yarning community is the best community out there. And I follow other interests on YouTube,
mhm,
and if I go to a live stream on in a different kind of area of interest, like automotive or something,
mhm,
dear Lord, how different is that?
mhm. Very, very different.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to you. Stop me when I do that. Stop me when I start talking about myself.
Uh,
But and anyway, tell us more. What else? What else do you have going on?
well, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the photography stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I have always been into film photography, and even when the transition from film to digital, you know, got very popular, I of course got a digital camera, and I have a great digital camera even right now, but I actually have a film camera collection, and I still take 110 uh, cameras. They still make 110 film, so the little 110 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a bunch of those. They don't make the 126 film anymore, but the medium format 120 film is still made, and I've got a couple of medium format cameras, and also have some 35 millimeter cameras, the point and shoot, and also the SLRs. So I enjoy doing that.
Do you develop your own film into photographs?
I do not. I use an online service. Well, it's in California. It's called thedarkroom.com, and you can send your film there. It's relatively inexpensive to get it developed.
Mm-hmm.
They can do prints. They will upload your images to your account, and you can download them from there when they're ready. They'll also send you a CD-ROM with your images on it if you want. So it's a great thing to be able to keeps film alive,
Mm-hmm.
and I really do enjoy it. And every once in a while, I'll get the bug and go into my refrigerator that has the film in it and put it in one of my cameras and go out and about and just take lots of pictures.
How many refrigerators do you have then?
Oh, just two.
Okay. I just had to ask. Now, what about video? Do you like to do video? Do you envision yourself doing vlogging?
That's a good question. I did years ago when YouTube was kind of new, and I did it for work. I did a kind of a vlog for the South Carolina Library Association. I was the president of that association in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and did some kind of updates about work related stuff in the field in South Carolina, and maybe only did that for about a couple of years. But no, as far as videography versus photography, I'm much more interested in capturing the moment in time,
Oh,
the
okay.
still
Still
image.
image, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a lot more appealing to me for some reason. Every once in a while, I will record a video on my phone of something that's going on, but otherwise, I tend to think in more still photography.
That makes complete sense to me.
I think of
And
it I was just going to say, I think of it as in framing the image, and so like I can be out walking my dog just out here in the country, and if it's the golden hour when the light is just right and something looks great and there's a cloud just in the right position, I pull out my smartphone and capture it, and then when I come back inside, it only takes a second to capture that image. But when I come back inside, I probably spend 5 to 10 minutes editing and, reframing the image and cropping and adjusting the exposure and all that kind of stuff.
So, those are things that I don't understand at all, and I wish I did. But why is your dog not in the picture now?
Oh, because she would be really getting on my nerves.
Oh, okay.
She's over 13. We think she might be 13. She's
Okay.
she's very set in her ways. If the door is closed, she will not bother me, but if the door is open, she will come in and demand attention and try her best to, be the center of attention. So,
You say that like it's a bad thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm trying to concentrate on on doing what I'm doing right now. So,
Well, yeah, but of course, everybody who knows me knows that I love puppies.
uh-huh. That's great. Is that a pit bull?
Well, this is I think it's a golden. I don't know. I picked this up at a
Okay.
discount store.
Uh-huh.
This mask came from the Asher House.
Okay.
And I always call them out when I do my shout out Saturdays, which I did not do today. Um, because they're all about pet rescue, and I am all about pet rescue.
And we
Um,
have never purchased a dog. We have always gotten rescue dogs, and actually,
I knew I loved you for a reason.
well, we're out in the country, and so usually the dogs just show up on the front doorstep. So, um,
I'll stay there and take care of them for you.
okay. Well, we actually just have one who showed up Memorial Day weekend, and he's still hanging around. We've been feeding him, and he's a good dog, but I'm afraid someone has put him out because, during COVID, I think a lot of people thought, well, let's get a puppy and let's, get an animal. And so then
Exactly.
then you get called back to work, your schedule changes, you're not at home all the time, and they can be costly. So, he has shown up and he's very nice, but you can tell he was part of a family because he knows how to sit. You say sit and he sits. So we're fostering him right now, and if we can find someone to be his forever home, then that would be great. But
And exactly, I have seen that a lot on social media where they're now talking about, and I'm sure that they were aware of it all along, these, I guess you could call them COVID puppies, these animals, these pets that were adopted during the pandemic when everyone was staying home.
mhm,
Um, Not only did they not have proper socialization with other people and other animals,
mhm,
they have greater separation anxiety when mommy or daddy has to go back to work,
right,
and that can cause distress in the home because they get destructive when they're bored or anxious,
mhm, mhm, yeah,
and people don't understand that, and people did not take that into account when they adopted the pets.
mhm,
And
mhm,
adopting pets is completely noble, but you have to think things through. So now there are all of these pets that are coming back to rescue organizations,
mhm,
if
mhm,
they're lucky, because some of them are just put out, or some of them are
yep,
euthanized.
yep, yep, and I think that's what happened to this one, and he's very energetic, but he was very thin, and
Mm.
I think he'd been out wandering for, I don't know, maybe weeks but a number of days. And, his little paw was hurt. And so we've just kind of nursed him and been giving him a lot of good, consistent food.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he's very friendly. It maybe only took about 15 minutes for me to let me pet him. And he had a collar on, just no tags, but we haven't gotten him to the vet yet because that's about an hour trip to drive
Oh,
back and
okay.
forth to the vet. So
Yeah, he might be microchipped. So
could be, yeah. But we'll see. We'll eventually get him there. He's also a young, intact male, so that needs to be fixed soon.
exactly, yes, some kind of action needs to happen there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but so I mean, we share this feeling about rescue pets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Um, oh gosh, oh gosh. I am going. I am so glad that I met you because we have all of these common interests, and
Mm-hmm.
you're so much fun to talk to.
Well, thank you. And I think that's the thing about the men's knitting retreats is that we tend to find, more like-minded folks, and that's why I think the word tribe is used a lot,
Exactly. Yeah.
because it really describes people who have a lot of the same interests and hobbies. And um, there's also one thing that I've found interesting is that there's even though fiber arts tends to be a individual hobby,
Hmm.
when people get together, there's still a wide variety of types of people because you have your introverts, your extroverts, people who are working in different capacities, some who are learning, some who are experts and master knitters. And so it's a lot of diversity, which is really nice. Even if it, is just the men's knitting retreat. But I have gone to other knitting retreats where I'm like one of only two guys there. So.
Actually, I found that when I was going to gay men's retreats a lot, there was such a diversity in ages,
Hmm.
in backgrounds, in current occupations, in the baggage that we all carry with us. And
Uh-huh.
some of that baggage I didn't know existed, but I
Hmm.
learned about it through people telling their stories.
Yeah.
And that is amazingly valuable.
Yeah, and one of the things I found most interesting with the men's knitting retreats, not only in the Southeast but up at Easton Mountain, is that there are always seems to be one or two token straight men, which is always fun, because it's like, again, that diversity. And in fact, the time that I was up at Easton Mountain, there was a really funny story. We're all sitting around and working on different projects. And there's this one guy, straight guy, married with a baby, in fact. And a few people were talking a lot about RuPaul's Drag Race,
Yeah.
which I've kind of maybe seen half of one episode. I never got into that, but he was going on and on talking about all of the drag queens, and he knew so much about it. And
Oh,
someone someone
wow.
someone in the group said, "I swear you are the gayest straight man I've ever met."
It's true. It's true. And honestly, in doing this series, I have met some really wonderful straight men
Hmm.
that I would certainly gladly, call them brothers
Hmm. Hmm.
as gay men.
Yep, yep, yep. It is neat.
And it's not about sexual orientation, although
Mm-mm.
people think it is.
Hmm.
Um, but there's so much more.
And also, when you start to look at the history of fiber arts, um, a lot of fiber arts originated in the fishing villages because of net making, and all of the men, who were making nets were also the ones making a lot of garments. So it's an
Exactly.
interesting
Exactly.
history.
And it's interesting. I have seen this with a lot of different things where there's like an area of expertise, like the knitting, like, let's say, cooking,
Hmm.
like, office skills,
Hmm.
where it's something that you think requires a lot of skill and intelligence. Men are still doing it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then when people start to think of it as drudgery, it gets passed off to women. And then years and years later, everyone can pick it up and say, oh, yeah, we can
Hmm.
all do this.
And maybe that's, evolution as a species, which, might be a nice way to think about it. But it is something that, anybody can do, and
Mhm.
it can, give you hours and hours of enjoyment. And you really get now I'm the kind of person that it was very difficult for me at first, in fiber arts that I didn't have instant gratification. Because if you're working on a scarf or some project, you know, granted, maybe a hat you can probably do in a day, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, that sense of instant gratification is kind of what I missed, and I had to get used to the fact that, okay, this is a project that's going to either take me days or weeks, or if I put it off, it may take months, you know, but you just have to
Yeah.
get used to that.
People have told me, actually, that crochet does take less time,
Mm-hmm.
but more yarn than
Mm-hmm.
knitting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another reason that I don't need to learn to knit. I'm okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's enough I can do.
Exactly. I like to crochet. I like learning new things about crochet still, even though I've been doing it for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's that thing. But it is that delayed gratification, and you know, some of us need to learn that. I
Mm-hmm.
still need to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Yeah.
But but anyway, gosh, the light looks rather dreary outside my window, and the lighting that I'm.
Yes,
Um,
we're expecting storms this afternoon, so I think it's starting to come through.
yeah, and it's. Oh my goodness! I just heard a little bit of thunder.
Yeah,
I think it's far away, but still a little bit
but
of,
still, yeah.
yeah. Oh, rumble, rumble, rumble. Yeah. But anyway, so we have been at it for almost an hour. Would you
We
believe it?
have. This has flown by, yeah.
I know. So, in closing, what would you like to tell people?
Check out my website, noneedleknitting.com, and it's really just a WordPress blog site, so you can, you know, check everything out there. And that's really it. You know, find me on Facebook and
Mhm.
LinkedIn, and I think on Instagram it's Kurdish Crochets. I think that's it. But I
I
can.
will have all of those links
Okay,
in the description.
great.
And if you will send me some pictures, I will also edit them in to the final thing. And I will let you know when this actually gets scheduled.
Okay.
Actually, I should probably do it very close to the end of the month when you retire.
Okay,
What do
cool.
you
That'd be
think?
great. That would be perfect.
Okay, then. And I will let you know. But, you know, please send me all of the things I've been, you know, telling you about, including directions to your house, because I'm going to
Okay.
be there.
All right, great. Look forward to having you.
But this has been so much fun, and thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, everybody who has been watching. And of course, I always say subscribe, like, comment, share, all the standard YouTube crap, and keep coming back. Okay? Okay, I'm going to click end now.
Thank you.